What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 targets the Philadelphia Eagles should look at signing, or maybe will be rumored to be signing. There's going to be plenty of clickbaity shit that you guys are going to see tomorrow in the next couple days about, oh my god, he's flying into Philly. Was he seen at the Eagles airport? It's that frenzy again. I mean, heaven forbid the Philadelphia Eagles are actually quiet in an offseason. We take a page out of maybe the Patriots or the Green Bay Packers book, and we don't try to completely reshake this team every single offseason. But it's like how I roastman's a kid with ADD, and if he's not making a move during the first couple days of free agency, he gets some sort of like crazy depression on or something. I don't know. But yeah, we'll be taking a look at the top 10 guys here, and I'm gonna rate them from 10 to 1 in order of the safety of the pick, the need of the pick, and the cost. Because I could say A, B, and C. They're clearly the top 3 free agents. Clearly, Philadelphia should go and get them. But there's no way in hell that we're going to be able to afford those type of guys. And you've heard me talk about some of these players before in previous videos, but because it is right here, right now, the draft is coming. But before the draft, we have to go through the free agency period. Let's just reiterate my importance and value on certain free agents. It has changed a lot. It's very, very tough being an Eagle fan. A team that has been burnt more often than not in free agency. I mean, unless we're signing these upper middle of the park guys that can get upside, guys like Malcolm Jenkins, Connor Barwin, etc., it seems like anytime we spend big money in free agency, it bites us in the ass. So I'm going to try my best to navigate through all that and give some honest opinions here of some popular topics. You look around anywhere for Eagles free agency, you're going to see most of these guys' names here. But yeah, so as I'm recording this just the day of the franchise tag deadline. I don't think there may be one guy on this list that may receive the franchise tag, and we will talk about that when we get to it. But without further ado, jumping right in, at number 10, we have A.J. Bouye. Now, a lot of people are regarding him as the top corner in this market, and you're saying, hey, C4, the Eagles need a corner. Why is the top corner debatably on the market only at number 10? Because there's too many warnings. There's too many. It's deja vu looking at a guy like A.J. Bouye. He looked solid last year with Houston. Great defense, by the way, best defense in the NFL. So he was like a good corner on one of the best defenses. When was the last time a free agent that was a cornerback that was on a very good defense? Who was this? Oh, Byron Maxwell was his name. And we don't want to have that scenario happen here again. I don't know, Byron Maxwell looked like he did pretty good in Miami this year, but still, even how well he did in Miami, it'd probably be a stretch to say he was really good, and it's definitely a stretch to say that he played up to his contract. He looked like a solid corner in Miami, but definitely doesn't look like one of the highest paid in the NFL. And with someone like Byron Maxwell, we knew is he going to be good? He's going to be the best corner in a weak market, but he's coming from a great defense. He's coming from one of the best defenses in the NFL. He's coming with a group of players that can, around him, make him look a lot better than he probably was. He plays with Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, all those guys. And then Philadelphia had to take that gamble on Byron Maxwell, and it did not pay off. I see a lot of parallels with A.J. Bouye. He's coming from a very, very good defense ran by Romeo Crennel. He has great partnership, great playmakers to play with him in that backfield with Jonathan Joseph. They've had some really solid safety play. Quentin Demps, former Philadelphia Eagle Quentin Demps, graded out fairly high from Pro Football Focus. Looks like he's having a great late season resurgence in his career. But I mean more so the defensive scheme. I think a team, so many people want to talk about Logan Ryan, and once he gets out of that Bill Belichick scheme, he's going to be exposed a little bit, so some teams probably going to overpay. I think the same thing can be said for players coming from that Houston Texans defense, unless you're a Clowney, a Merciless, a J.J. Watt, for example, just to name a few. I think Crennel is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, and it took him a while. Obviously, A.J. Bouye boomed onto the scene, so I think it's more of Crennel was able to find what made him good, and he finally got the reps and repetition in Crennel's defense to finally show that he can be a great corner. I think when he comes out to a new scheme, if he doesn't end up going back to Houston, which is probably unlikely, I think he can struggle. So just the parallels between that and what we got with Byron Maxwell makes him like he would be, obviously, if we signed him, you have to be optimistic that we're going to get the same level of play that we got from him at Houston. But because of those parallels, and he's going to cost a lot, I only have him here at number 10. Good player, would be a fit, but I definitely have way more worry on him than any other corner that we're going to talk about. Going to number 9, sticking at the cornerback spot. It was a corner that I actually mocked in my last offseason to the Philadelphia Eagles, but the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, people have talked to me, and it's like, you're probably right. It was Logan Ryan, and I think kind of similar to what we talked about with A.J. Bouye. How many times does a player go to the New England Patriots, goes into Bill Belichick offense or defense in this case, and that makes them. That emphasizes their strengths. Look at Patrick Chung. He was horrible. Absolutely horrible with the Philadelphia Eagles. Fucking turned like a goddamn Pro Bowler once he went back to the Patriots. Eric Rowe could not get on the field with the Eagles. Fucking started in the Super Bowl. So those are just two quick parallels that I'm going to make for Logan Ryan. I think he's going to be a guy that probably on any team he'd be at worst a low-end corner too. He's definitely a starter in this league. But at times he looked like the Patriots' best corner. Malcolm Butler did not have the greatest playoff run, and it seemed like Logan Ryan was the big star. So he's definitely going to want to leave the Patriots and try to cash out after a big playoff performance. But I think that much like, some of these other picks, good player. I think he'd be solid on a team like the Eagles, but you're never going to get the kind of production that Bill Belichick was able to get out of him, but that's what you're going to be paying for, So a guy like Logan Ryan, I think he'd be a nice fit. He's a corner 2. If you can get him for a corner 2 price, go for it, but I think because of his strong play performance, he's going to ask for a little bit more than that. So again, another guy, Philadelphia Eagles somehow signed him. It'd be all right, but I'd definitely be cautiously optimistic. Go number 8 is Dre Kirkpatrick, the corner from the Cincinnati Bengals. A little bit of a slow, late bloomer here. He came in at Alabama. A lot of people thought for probably the first 2 years he was kind of a bust, struggled to make any real mark in the Cincinnati Bengals secondary. Started to put it together this year with the Bengals as, obviously, contract year, want to get paid. Problem with him, I think, again, another corner, middle. He fits that Eagles signing, a middle park free agent that could potentially be good, which is, I think he's probably one of the more realistic signings we might get at corner. But a guy like him, it took him so long to finally get adjusted to the NFL. I'm worried that it wasn't just getting adjusted to the NFL. It was getting adjusted to whatever his coordinator scheme was. He finally picked up, Bob Gunther or something like that is the DC there, I think is his name, Paul Gunther. If it took him that long, if it took him 3-4 fucking years to finally get down that playbook, what will he do in a brand new scheme? If he came here, how long would it take him to get adjusted and learn the ins and outs of a Jim Schwartz secondary? That is my big concern, because he's going to probably get upwards of $6-7 million a year. And you're not paying that, especially on the Eagles, where we need starters right away, for a guy that needs to be babied and walk through this goddamn scheme. And that's my thing. I just think he may have, if he was in Madden, he'd have a slow learner trait. He takes the short bus to the game film practice. That's my only worry with Dre Kirkpatrick, but he has good size. I think he'd be cheaper than Logan Ryan, AJ Boye, just the grade right below that. But again, another thing that I'm just a little bit worried for how long it took him to finally catch on there in Cincinnati. Maybe, just maybe, it could just been, coming to the NFL from college. He's an Alabama defensive back. Takes a little bit. Fair enough. If that's the case, I think that that's why I have him at 8 and not at number 10, because I think that could be the case. But just in case it was a learning curve of learning defense, the ins and outs of a defense properly, you can't make that kind of investment in free agency. You need results now from a free agent. And Dre Kirkpatrick, if it takes him another 3 years, he's going to be 30 until he finally understands the ins and outs of a Jim Schwartz defense. So, again, another corner to be cautiously optimistic with. Number 7 is Terrell Pryor, the wide receiver from the Cleveland Browns. Looks like he will be heading back to Cleveland, but you can't talk about a team that's wide receiver hungry and not mention Terrell Pryor. I think he's probably going to get overpaid by the Browns, but the Browns are a team with a lot of cap money, and it's rightfully so. He was their best playmaker last year. He's kind of Josh Gordon light in regards to had absolutely no quarterback play. I'm pretty sure he got over 1,000 yards. He's still learning the position, and I just had to mention him on this list because obviously if he decided not to go to Cleveland, he'd probably be debatably the best wide receiver on our team. I'm a little bit worried that he's 28. He's probably he's got to get his last contract of his career. That's how I'm viewing this, and I think with getting a last contract of your career, that's when the guy's in his prime, and Terrell Pryor is still technically learning the ins and outs of the wide receiver position, so you have to really gamble of, is he actually going to, in this contract that we're signing to, is he going to continue to develop, or is what we're seeing now the highest level he's going to get, and now you have to worry about the downside of getting older, and his athletic ability starts to dwindle a little bit, because I think that's been more the case. He's been able to get by a little bit because he's a freak athlete, and as he's learning how to become an actual wide receiver, that as he, it's like a trajectory. I don't think it's going to keep going up. I think one thing's going to give up, and that is not what you want to pay big money for a wide receiver in free agency. But big name, if he does slip away from the Cleveland Browns, could be a potential target. Going to number 6, it is Prince Amukamara, the corner from the Jacksonville Jaguars, formerly of the New York Giants. Had injury concerns, but I'm pretty sure he played most of the games with the Jags last year, graded out fairly well. And again, him and Dre Kirkpatrick, I think, will be the two corners that will be most realistically on the Eagles' radar in terms of a Malcolm Jenkins signing, a guy that has upside that we probably want to pay out the ass for. I think Amukamara probably will get in the range of $5 to $7 million, probably closer to 5, I think. And he could be a guy right now. Amukamara, from his tape, could come in and play he'd compete for the fucking starting outside corner job depending on what we do in the draft. And I think, again, just he fits the Howie signing of a defensive player, the good one. If we're not going to make it a big splash, we get, a guy that if you're ranking the top 5 corners, we'll get a guy that's 4 or 5. And I think that may be Prince Amukamara this year, and I think he'd be a nice little fit for a Jim Schwartz defense. Go number 5 is Donta Hightower from the New England Patriots. He's the only guy that may potentially get franchise tagged after this video came out. It's going to be pretty unrealistic. I think the Patriots, they made it clear that they're going to take him over Jamie Collins, and I don't think they're going to let Jamie Collins, when they trade him to the Browns, without knowing that they're going to pay Hightower and get him extended. But on the rare opportunity that he does go, maybe, just maybe, with Michael Kendricks potentially on the move, he will be the best replacement possible in free agency to fill Michael Kendricks' hole. Hightower is phenomenal. I think he's one of the top 5 linebacker in the NFL. So because linebackers probably, especially outside linebackers, probably a need for the Philadelphia Eagles, you had to include an absolute monster like Hightower on this list. Go number 4 is going to be Kenny Stills, the wide receiver from the Miami Dolphins, I think. And, I had him mocked to the Eagles in my mock offseason. I had Logan Ryan and Kenny Stills as the 2 realistic signings. Kenny Stills has been there. I've been on the Kenny Stills train before anyone else, by the way. Fucking Bleeding Green Nation, suck a dick. I think Kenny Stills is not only upside, he's still 26. He's just entering his prime, which is something that's going to be great. He catches the deep ball, which is exactly what you need. He stretches the field. He's basically, if you told me Kenny Stills or Deshaun Jackson, I think they're both going to offer the exact same thing to this offense, and I think even Kenny Stills would probably cost less. You got to go Kenny Stills. He's exactly, if you can't get, the guy that we'll talk about later, you have to get a compliment. You have to get the best potential compliment to what we have right now, and that's Jordan Matthews. And what we need is a guy that can stretch the field, can catch deep touchdowns, and that is Kenny Stills to an absolute T. I've heard rumors, though, that he wants to get paid big bucks, which could certainly, if he him and his agent overvalue himself, could instantly, wipe himself off the Eagles' radar. But I totally do think that Kenny Stills should be a guy that the Philadelphia Eagles target, and I'd be very happy to have him on the team to pair up with Corey Davis and Jordan Matthews. Go number 3, it's going to be Benny Logan, bringing old Benny Logan back. And as long as it's not a bidding war, I think we will bring him back. I don't think you can. I think the one side of the thing is that with Bo Allen, you could probably mask him on our defensive line. You could probably, you have Fletcher Cox, you'll have Vinny Curry, and you'll have Brandon Graham. You could definitely throw a Bo Allen in there, have him just, you can hide that. You can hide his weaknesses by having one of the best, other 3 defensive linemen in the NFL. And if we can get, if it's one of those things where, people want to make the easy comparison, would you want Benny Logan or would you want someone like Alshon Jeffrey or Stephon Gilmore? I think I would take Gilmore and Jeffrey just because our defensive line with Bo Allen is still going to be a lot better than our defensive line with Benny Logan and not one of those playmakers on wide receiver or corner. So if that's the case, sure, let Benny Logan walk. But we are never going to be in play for those guys. I think you have to keep your talent in-house. Benny Logan, he was banged up a little bit this year. That's why people are kind of saying he's expendable and stuff. But you saw when Benny Logan, just the difference of how everyone else played when Benny Logan was still in this defensive line, not even at 100%, but when he was in the game, it looked way better than what Bo Allen was in. And just look at his tape last year in the 15-16 season. I mean, Benny Logan was a monster, an absolute fucking monster. And I think that unless we get in like a big bidding war, which could potentially happen, I would more or less play Benny Logan unless we're in play for the next 2 guys that we're going to talk about, number 2 and number 1. But it would definitely suck to see Benny Logan go. If we let Benny Logan go and we don't get one of the 2 guys we're going to talk about, I'm going to be pissed off because we need some fucking explanations. But moving on to number 2, it's Stephon Gilmore, the corner from the Buffalo Bills. Again, he's come out and said he wants to get paid top corner money, which again is a red flag for us here in Philadelphia. But Gilmore would be a guy more so than anyone we signed. More so than Byron Maxwell, more so than Nnamdi Asma, Bradley Fletcher, Kerry Williams, any of these buster-ass corners we have signed in the past. I think a guy like Gilmore, who has a lot of familiarity with the Jim Schwartz defense, Jim Schwartz have already seen him play, would know, give you the nod, give Howie the nod saying this guy would work here in Philadelphia. We have that reassurance. And so if we're going to pay top end for a corner, I don't want it to be A.J. Boye, I don't want it to be Logan Ryan. Maybe then you can start looking at Kirkpatrick and Amukamara, who aren't top dollar. But if we're playing top dollar, it's going to be Gilmore and no one else. I don't want anyone else because I feel that Gilmore's the safest pick. He's a great corner. Absolutely great. Had a little bit of a down year in 17, but look at his body of work in the 15-16 season, 14-15 season. Both those years, he was the top corner on a very, very good secondary for the Buffalo Bills and Rex Ryan. So I would be all over Stephon Gilmore if the cards play themselves right. I think he is the top corner for me, and definitely more so for the Philadelphia Eagles than A.J. Boye. Boye, because right now it's kind of pick who you like better between Gilmore and Boye. But now to wrap up this video, the number one target, it is clear it's going to be. The Bears already announced they're not going to franchise tag him, so he will be hitting the market. It is Alshon Jeffrey. And, you know, I already weighed the negatives. The negatives are clear. One more suspension. He's in Lane Johnson territory, PEDs. He's constantly banged up. But when you look at what free agent, realistically, Eagles always want to make a big splash. So Heaven will probably fucking sign. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Philadelphia Eagles sign Alshon and Gilmore and have literally $0 of cap. And then Howie Roseman will be like, I'll deal with it next year and try to work some magic like that. But if you look at the one free agent that we need him. We need a wide receiver, so he's totally in play for this team. We have technically the cap money that we could spy him and him only and not re-sign anyone else or sign anyone else. And then what is the biggest wide receiver that can make an impact to our team? It has to be Alshon Jeffrey. He is a proven wide receiver one in the NFL. Great size, definitely a red zone threat. How many years have the Philadelphia Eagles been absolutely shit in the red zone? He would solve all of those issues. And now I'm as skeptical as anyone else. I am as on board with not getting Alshon Jeffrey because of the red flags, but because he is so good and would be exactly what we need to get the most out of Jordan Matthews, to get the most out of Carson Wentz next season. You'd be crazy not to have him as the number one target for the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's a whole lot to think about. So let me know, Eagles fans or any just generic fans that want to get your input here on the Eagles. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about my top 10 targets for the Philadelphia Eagles for this upcoming year. This list probably is going to look somewhat similar to the list you would have saw yesterday, which was the top 10 free agents in general. But there's a little bit, different. So it's either the Philadelphia Eagles want to splurge on a Gilmore or an Alshon, or maybe they want to re-sign Benny Logan and then go for lower till guys like Kenny Still or Prince Amukamara or Drake or Patrick or something like that. But let me know. Let me get your input. This is your first time stopping by. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.